begun. It has begun. It has begun. It has begun. It has begun.
It's showtime.
Gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all measurable demographics, welcome to the new radio sensation taking over the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and the Beyond Ringside app. This is the show, and I am the voice, Ted Guinness, welcoming you to episode 2 of this new extravaganza once again here on Beyond Ringside and the Beyond Ringside Network. Glad to have you with us, and I want to thank everybody who did put in some pretty good feedback from the debut show last week, playing all week on Beyond Ringside's replay. Every time I went and just checked the replay, it seemed like my show was playing. So hey, to the program director, Eddie Lane, thanks for putting me on heavy rotation. I was not expecting that, but good feedback coming from the debut episode. So I have set the bar pretty high for myself, so it looks like I have to have some high standards to keep up with, and hopefully I will be doing that throughout the course of the program. Of course, this is an open show for WWE fans and WWE conversation, and if you want to join the program, all you have to do is pick up the phone number. If you want to be a part of the program this evening, 208-643-0102 is the number, 208-643-0102. Trying to get the chat room loaded up on beyondringside.com, and for some reason my machine is not pulling it up. So if you're trying to get in on the chat room and want to have a conversation there, hopefully I can get this thing up and running on my end. Otherwise, chat room's going to be put on hold for this week. Lots to get into this week. A lot of positive things going on in the world of the WWE WrestleMania 31 from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. Sunday, March the 29th, just 17 days away from the grandest stage of them all. And the card is definitely starting to take shape. It looks like we have a couple more matches signed for WrestleMania 31, as well as it looks like, we've had some matches confirmed. And we're going to run down that list of matches. We still have one match that's being teased. And if you saw the end of Monday Night Raw, the absolute obliteration of Seth Rollins at the hands of Randy Orton was 15 minutes of probably some of the most uncomfortable WWE moments that I've seen, especially from a babyface perspective, as Randy Orton finally is back on the fan favorite side, and as he was just kicking Rollins' ass all over the arena, you could tell that the crowd was uncomfortable. I mean, that's not normally the type of crowd reaction that you get from a from a fan favorite who's getting his revenge on someone who did him wrong. That's usually the response for 5-on-1, 6-on-1 heel attacks and just leaving the kids crying. I was very surprised at the way the crowd reacted during that segment and leading up to the end of Monday Night Raw. So Orton Rollins, that's not yet confirmed, but it looks like they're heading down that path. We're going to get into that. I wanted to try to keep as much positive stuff going on with this program this evening. And with NXT, with the Hall of Fame announcement from this past Monday night, with some of the stuff that's going on the network, there's a lot of positive stuff that to talk about, and we definitely will get into that. But the biggest news coming out of WWE, and I think it's the bigger news for the fans who follow NXT and the developmental system and are a little bit more involved in, paying attention to the behind the scenes stuff, as opposed to the casual fan. It's definitely something that I've had my eye on. Like I said last week when I did my introduction of pretty much my resume in professional wrestling, my very first job in professional wrestling was with WWE Developmental Territory Deep South Wrestling. And Bill DeMott was there when I was there. Now, I've read these articles and these reports, and it's pretty heavy-duty stuff when something like this makes the Washington Post. I mean, we're not talking dirt sheets. We're talking, depending on your point of view, most print media nowadays are dirt sheets anyways. But when it makes the Washington Post, it really makes you stand up and take notice. Now, back in the Deep South days, the first time anything like this ever came up was there was a letter, presumably written by Kevin Matthews, depending on who you ask in that locker room, that was sent to WWE Developmental Talent Relations at the time, and I believe that was when Tommy Dreamer was running developmental. And the letter essentially alleged, it's essentially the same language, the physical abuse, derogatory language as far as ethnic slurs, sexual innuendo, going out of his way to embarrass people, having favorites, and the people that weren't on his favorite list would have to do extra exercises until they puked, and essentially things like that. I don't remember the whole gist of the letter. I do remember it being posted on the bulletin board, which I thought at the time was rather odd that something that internally sensitive as an employee complaint. Because at the time, I believe Kevin Matthews was under contract when he was with Deep South Wrestling. He was under contract. So, regardless of whether WWE wants to look at him as an independent contractor or an employee is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is WWE was paying him X amount of dollars per month. And requiring him to live in a certain location within range of the training facility in the Deep South Arena. So, for all intents and purposes, it was an employee complaint. And I thought it was extremely odd, again, that management, and I don't think Jody Hamilton, who was the actual owner of Deep South Wrestling, and ran the day-to-day operations of it, I don't think he really had much to do with. I'm sure he was aware that that letter had been sent and that it was posted, but I don't think he had anything to do with it being posted. I think everything at that point was at the direction of Bill DeMott, who, for all intents and purposes, was the person in charge of training at Deep South Wrestling. And I got to thinking, why would you post something like this? And I noticed a lot of wrestlers reading it. And when I would just ask little questions here and there there was a certain circle of wrestlers that I got along with better than a number of the other guys in the back. And that's generally true pretty much wherever you go. You're gonna find yourself fitting in with one group or another. And there was a certain circle of people that I was comfortable with talking about these things with, and none of them even wanted to talk about it. Now, to be fair, I was not ever present at a training session. I was there on Thursdays for TV tapings, and then if we had a road show or something, I would be there for the road show. But I had no direct knowledge or direct information of any of these things happening. But everything that I heard about was all indirect, word of mouth. But the rumblings were there, and this was back in, I want to say 2006, early 2007 when Deep South shut down. And going forward, there were some more complaints, and Tommy Dreamer had cameras set up at the Deep South Arena for the training session, and apparently nothing else happened. They said that there was a thorough investigation done and no wrongdoing was found. I know of a few events that happened, both directly from the individuals involved and from photographic evidence, which I'm not at liberty to really get into because I don't want to put their identities at risk and have any possible repercussions. But it was interesting to me when WWE fired Bill DeMott and the first time and brought Dr. Tom Pritchard in to replace him, which there's been a lot of advocacy for this time is to bringing Dr. Tom in and putting him back in charge with developmental. I mean, it's good that he has that support. I don't know if he'd be interested in taking that job again, especially since he kind of lashed out at the supposed independent investigation that happened originally when this happened the first time down at Deep South. Matt Bloom is taking over as the interim head trainer down at NXT in the meantime, but going back to when Bill was first fired down at Deep South, I remember walking in the back the first time, not really sure what to expect as far as the attitude or the atmosphere of the boys and the girls in the back. I can tell you vaguely what I remember the first time walking in. There was definitely a much more relaxed atmosphere, almost like there was everybody had let out a simultaneous big breath of relief. And I found it also interesting that nobody really wanted to talk about Bill. It was almost like, now that he's gone, now that Dr. Tom's here, now we can move on and get on to what we were hired to do, and that's trained to be a wrestler. And, after that, I had worked with Bill a couple more times on a few independent shows that he had put on down in, I want to say it was Locust Grove, Georgia. I can't remember the name of the town. I think it was Locust Grove. He put on a couple of shows and used a few former Deep South talents and some indie guys. And, when it was his baby and he always took care of his business, and I respected him for that. The impression that I got with working with him for close to a year and a half. I want to say it was between a year and a half. My memory's a little hazy on that. my impression was when you first met him, he pretty much instantly knew whether he was going to let you into his on his good side or if he was going to use you as a butt of a joke. Now, I remember the last Tough Enough that he had called one of the talents Skid Mark, and he had said that that was the way that he remembered, he remembered people because he forgot names. I was the victim of getting a Bill DeMott nickname. It wasn't that embarrassing. It wasn't as bad as Skid Mark, but it was something that bothered the hell out of me for the first couple months that I had it. And, not being a contracted talent and, just being thankful for, having the opportunity to be backstage and doing that, I wasn't going to say anything about it. I absolutely hated it for the first couple of months. And it wasn't until, I think it was either William Regal or Dave Taylor pulled me aside and kind of smartened me up on it, which then, I didn't take it as personally anymore. But with Bill, you've seen what he's done on Tough Enough. You've seen the way that he talks to people. You see the way that he treats people. You've heard these reports. You know what you're getting. You pretty much know what you're getting when you meet him. And he can be a very difficult person to just to even be nice to at times, just because he has that tougher than nails, I don't even really know how to describe exactly the type of perception that he gives off when you meet him and when you talk to him. It's almost like everyone's beneath him at a certain level, and unless you're going to fire back at him and have a backbone or whatever, he's going to walk all over you until you either quit or until he gets tired and moves on to another target. For lack of a better term, and just from that last description, there's only one word that can be described to Bill DeMott, just from my personal experience, and that is bully. He is what essentially is a bully, and that's another ironic thing about the whole Be a Star campaign, is that WWE is so behind the anti-bullying thing. When all this stuff hit, when this stuff came out on PW Insider, lordsofpain.net, the Washington Post, JR Jim Ross even having to write about it on his blog at jrsbarbecue.com, jrsbbq.com, it's something that WWE, with their corporate image, they had to have gotten Bill on the phone or have gone down to the NXT live event in Cleveland, Ohio, and basically said, look, we're not going to fire you. We'll give you the opportunity to resign. We'll give you a severance package, whatever. We just need to get rid of you because we cannot have this at any point and any time with the public face of our company, especially with the Be a Star campaign. You can go on your Twitter account, you can deny all the allegations all you want, and you can ride on to the sunset. And I just hope the last thing that they said is, maybe if you keep your nose clean in a couple of years, maybe you'll be welcome back. Because let's face it, it happened once before. He kept his nose clean. He got welcome back. And guess what? It happened again. It's a pattern of history. Now, whether any of the current allegations from one from Dolph Ziggler's brother about him being kicked in a medical boot, to another one getting kicked in the crotch and having racial slurs thrown at him, and him telling another black wrestler to go back to Africa, quote unquote, as well as getting, making sexually ambiguous statements about sexual preferences and things. I mean, did I hear this kind of language come out of Bill? Yeah. I mean, have I heard on the other side though, have I heard these kind of comments come out of every wrestling locker room that I've ever been in? Yes, it's pervasive in the culture. Let's face it, there's a lot of the older school guys that still permeate these locker room and the old school type language, whether they mean it or not, the old school type language, and that's what's acceptable in a wrestling locker room. I don't know how much of that, if what was alleged to be said, how much of that was meant to be deliberately hurtful and how much was just an old school wrestler saying old school locker room things to a younger generation who's evolved past that and is a little bit more enlightened than some of our elders that have graced locker rooms, especially especially wrestlers that had their heyday in the 70s and the 80s. That are still, coming into these locker rooms 20 years past their prime, and you hear some of this language, and there are certain people that are going to gravitate to it. It's almost like, and I hate to draw this correlation, but since it's newsworthy, it's almost like the fraternity down at the University of Oklahoma chanting the racist thing, the SAE controversy with the fraternities. It's almost the same thing. It's wrestling locker rooms are a fraternity, and that type of language gets passed down from generation to generation. Not so much anymore, as again we're getting into a younger generation who has evolved past the need to use those type of terms. But the fact of the matter is you have to take some of what was said in context. Now, the physical stuff, there's no excuse for slapping a trainee in the head when he's in the training room, complaining of concussion-like symptoms, kicking an injured wrestler in the medical boot when he has a broken leg. Just these type of allegations are just completely, over the top. Now, whether the WWE does a thorough investigation into the matter of Bill DeMott remains to be seen, and how thorough will that investigation be? And if it's internal, I don't expect it to be that thorough, because I don't really think that the WWE wants to open up that closet and have that many skeletons fall out for the public view, especially their stockholders, when they've put so much time and effort into this public face of anti-bullying, be a star. To have this come up and bite them directly in the ass would be a massive tragedy to that corporate image and the PG-friendly corporate image, which is why deny the allegations all you want, whether they're true or not. I think Triple H and Vince pretty much had to make a decision to cut bait and fish and get rid of Bill. And to be honest, after the first time, I believe in second chances. I believe in giving people second chances and giving them opportunities to redeem themselves after they've fallen. I believe that people can change. Bill was given a second chance, and it just goes to show that there's a pattern here. There's a pattern of history that can't be ignored. He's had his two chances, and there should not be a chance for number three. There just shouldn't. Looking over in the chat room, Captain Crisis asks, then why bring it up? I think he was talking about the events that I didn't want to get into with mentioning names. The reason that I bring it up was to establish a pattern of history and behavior, not to try to get myself over or create intrigue or anything like that. But I had to establish a pattern of behavior for pretty much what I just laid out. And I think I did a decent job with that. But right now, Bill DeMott no longer in charge of the WWE developmental system. Matt Bloom, formerly known as Albert, formerly known as Tensai, formerly known as Giant Bernard back in Japan, is now the interim head of WWE's NXT developmental territory, and I am interested to observe and see how he does. Good luck to him, and we'll see what happens down in NXT. 27 after the top of the hour here on the show. Opening up the phone lines, 208-643-0102 is the phone number. I did reach out to a former developmental talent to come on at 10:30 Eastern time. I'm not sure if he is going to. I didn't get a confirmation, so if he does, we'll have that conversation. If not, Lots to go over, especially, after talking about DeMott. We can come back, talk about a class act for the WWE Hall of Fame, the WWE Warrior Award at the Hall of Fame, when we come back on the show, right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
Hey everyone, this is the Cause, Robert Cosper, host of Cause and Effects Thursday Night Radio Throwdown. This is your invitation to join me, along with the Effects Stuart Couch, Mad Dog Dan Sawyer, and all of the craziness that is C&E, right here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. It's wrestling radio with a twist, and some might just say with a twist of lime when the bar is open. Cause and Effect, right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
Hey, this is Stan Grubb for Wrestle Rage Radio right here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for myself and Smart Rage as we discuss the professional wrestling business from WWE, TNA, and all things in between. We'll have an interview here or there. We'll see what we can do to just keep you entertained. And along the way, we're going to have to bring up some emotion and make you think. That's what we like to do. So join us here on Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you at Wrestle Rage.
25 minutes to the top of the hour here on the show. Broadcasting live on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and the Beyond Ringside app if you have an Android device. If you have an Apple device, crawl out of the Stone Age, get an Android. But if you're married to that iPhone 6, like a Starbucks drinking chump, I hate Starbucks. I hate Apple. But I digress. If you have one of those Apple devices, go over to the Apple Play Store, download the TuneIn Radio app, and search Beyond Ringside. And you can join the fun. All things WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, pay-per-views, Hall of Fame, the network, specials, good things, bad things. Just spent the last half hour talking about Bill DeMott resigning from his position with NXT, completely gone from the company. And, I'm just going to end with this. There were a lot of, complaints and whatever. And, I did have my good experiences with Bill. I did have my bad experiences with Bill. To be fair, not one time did I think he was actually ever going to put his hands on me and kick my ass or shoot me or anything. And no time did I felt that I was physically threatened. But I did feel immensely disrespected. And, I'm going to share the story. What the hell? It's my show. I can do that. There was a contract wrestler at the time by the name of Tommy Suede, who had gone on the road and come back. And I did not know that he had planned on creating a new character and debuting it that night. When I walked in and got my sheet from the office of what was going on the show that night, looking at the card, I didn't see anything about, anything that looked odd to me whatsoever, except Tommy Suede's name was just shortened to Suede. And I didn't think anything of it because hey, it's Suede. Sometimes when you write out cards, you shorten people's names just because you know who they're talking about. Tommy never came up and told me he was changing his character and there was anything that I needed to know about. Bill never came up. We normally had production meetings so what would normally happen is about an hour before showtime, all the wrestlers would get around the ring, and we would just go over a few important notes and things that we had to be aware of for the show. Nothing was mentioned during that meeting. And then the production team, Neil Pruitt, Nigel Sherrod, who was the voice of Deep South, myself as the ring announcer, Bill DeMott and Jody Hamilton would all meet in the office and discuss if there was anything that we needed to know specifically at certain points in the show or not. Nothing was ever said to me that there was a character change with Tommy Suede. So, his opponent came out. I did the introduction. New music hit, but I knew it was Tommy Suede coming out, and I did, the introduction from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, weighing 221 pounds at the time, Tommy Suede. And I get back to my seat, and this was during dark matches, which they still pre-taped for TV. Either if they needed a filler match for the TV program, but they always sent these tapes up to the office. And when they did that, they would have either Nigel and another wrestler come out to try their hand at color commentary, or they would have someone else coming in and doing play-by-play with someone else doing color commentary. It was never Bill and Nigel for these matches. So I go back to my chair, which is right by the announce table, and Bill from behind the curtain, angrily, his face, looked like Satan just reached up his ass and started possessing him like a puppet. And, he's, doing the finger, get back here, and I'm like, what the hell? And behind the entrance ramp, there was a curtain walkway that you would walk back, and then behind that was the production studio, and then Bill's office was behind that. He brought me into the production studio, and his face was freaking redder than red and chewing my ass out about screwing up Tommy Suede's new character and new debut and blah, 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 and just reading me the friggin' riot act while the match is currently in the ring. Thankfully, I don't think any of the fans heard it because he was doing the angry whisper back, and I had enough. I was like, look, nobody freaking told me. We went through all these meetings. Nobody said a single word to me. How is it my fault and my responsibility for screwing up someone's new character debut when everybody else is in on it except the person who's announcing it? Whose freaking fault is that, Bill? And that was the end of the conversation. And I think that right there was the time that I earned his respect for standing up and saying something directly to him. And I think that was his big thing, is he would make you feel bad until you proved yourself to him. And I think, a lot of the hurt feelings and a lot of the things that happened down at NXT and some of the things at Deep South Wrestling that happened may have had something to do with that. But I'm done talking about that for now, unless you out there want to continue talking about Bill DeMott, no longer with NXT and WWE. 208-643-0102. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done with it. Best of luck to whatever he decides to do. And, whoever decides to give him another opportunity to train young talent, if he opens up a wrestling school again, do your homework. Just know who you're sending, know who you're getting in the ring with and getting involved with before you go down. And that's especially true to anybody who is wanting to become a professional wrestler. Be very careful picking and choosing the people that you choose to give your money to train. Make sure that they have a track record. Make sure that they've trained people that people know in the business. Make sure that they're not just taking your money and going to have you bump on a grass field somewhere, and then 2 weeks later you never hear from them again, and you're out $3,000. So just fair word of warning for any aspiring wrestler, before you go and commit to a wrestling school, do your homework. 208-643-0102 is the phone number here on the show, talking about all things WWE related, and transitioning from the dark cloud that was the DeMott resignation over to something that I have to give the WWE an immense amount of credit for. And that was, last year in the WWE Hall of Fame, one of the things that the Ultimate Warrior had said was that there should be a wing in the WWE Hall of Fame for the people that, inspire us, the young kids that are going through these tremendous diseases, but face them with courage. And it was something touching, and it was a very good point. And at the time, it was just something that you didn't really take seriously. It was, hey, that's a good point. And then let's move on to the next thing. And I think a lot of people may have forgotten about that. But then last year, around WrestleMania, the Make-A-Wish Foundation granted a wish to a young man by the name of Connor McCulloch, who had pediatric brain cancer. And the WWE has done a tremendous job in, I'm not going to say promoting, but making aware of this young man's existence. And it's really heartwarming and genuinely touching to see when you have Stephanie McMahon and Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan and Kane and all of these personalities, when they sit back and they think about how they affected them that day, you know, and seeing the genuine emotion in their eyes and in their voice, I think, you know, it really, it's one of those things that just grabs you and just makes you appreciate, outside of the television product or the digital media product, everything that happens behind the scenes. I mean, you have the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We all know about the John Cena granting 7 million wishes. And I think there was another valid point in the CM Punk podcast where he said, you know, WWE announces all these wishes that John Cena does, but, you know, we all do Make-A-Wishes. And it's true. All these talents do the Make-A-Wish. And WWE seems to be one of their most popular Make-A-Wish destinations. And what I like so much about this story and about the whole Make-A-Wish program that they do is these young kids who are facing life-threatening diseases get the opportunity to meet their idols. And more often than not, the people that they go to meet and to find inspiration in are the ones they end up inspiring. And I think most notably in this case, Connor McCulloch, who, when you go back and you watch the video of, you know, him putting Daniel Bryan in the yes lock and, you know, asking AJ, can you please stop being crazy? And, you know, if you search on YouTube and you look for the video where, you know, he got to knock Triple H out and then cover him and got the pin in the middle of the ring before a show with all the wrestlers standing around ringside. I mean, that's above and beyond what a normal Make-A-Wish and a normal Make-A-Wish meet and greet normally would be, is what I would think. And there had to have been something extremely special about this boy for them to go above and beyond, and then for him to be able to go to WrestleMania and to have that one big last day. Unfortunately, he passed away a short few weeks after WrestleMania, but to have that one last great day with his father sitting ringside and watching Daniel Bryan win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match and watching Brock Lesnar beat the streak. And, you know, you have to believe that everybody whose lives he touched backstage turned it up just a little bit more for him. And going back and watching WrestleMania 30, because hey, it's WrestleMania season, and I always like to go back and watch the previous year's Mania just to you know, see where we were a year ago from now, and see what's developed over the course of the year. And you can see, you know, these matches that they were excellent matches. Bryan had something extra in him. Triple H had something extra in him. Bray had something extra in him. Cena had something extra in him. Everybody that performed that night seemed to have a little something extra that wasn't that WrestleMania extra. It was that inspiration that this young man gave all of the people that he met back in the locker room. And this year, the WWE Hall of Fame has created the Warrior Award, which is dedicated to these type of individuals outside of the WWE, but have made an impact with their courage and dedication, whether facing life-threatening diseases or, who knows how wide this net is going to cast. Are we going to see military heroes getting the Warrior Award, which, why not? I mean, the WWE is huge with, supporting our troops with the whole Tributes in the Troop program, the free tickets for active duty military members for their shows. It doesn't just have to be this one specific category. The beauty of this is the WWE honoring those that inspire, that can and should inspire all of us, whether it's a Connor McCulloch, whether it's, we can talk about the American Sniper Chris Kyle. I could see as being deserving in a WWE Hall of Fame. Why not? To people that make tremendous sacrifices for other people. This could be a huge civic award. And I think this is going to have more notoriety and more importance to the WWE Hall of Fame as opposed to the celebrity wing, which is essentially is a joke. Let's be honest. The WWE Hall of Fame celebrity wing is a joke. Any Hall of Fame that has Drew Carey in it is not a legitimate Hall of Fame. And that's all I have to say about that. But the night before WrestleMania, Saturday night, March 28th, Connor McCulloch will be honored with the first ever Warrior Award, and that will be presented to his father, Steve, by the Warrior's widow, Dana Warrior. And I think this is actually a huge class act by the WWE. And if you're interested in donating to Connor's Cure, which is a organization that helps fight pediatric cancer and fund research for that, you can go to www.givetochildrens.org/Connors Cure. That's CONNORSCURE, all one word. www.givetochildrens with an S.org/Connors Cure. In addition to the inaugural Warrior Award, being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, as we announced last week, run it down again, being headlined by the late great Macho Man Randy Savage. Expecting him to be inducted by none other than Hulk Hogan. And I still haven't heard officially whether Lenny is going to accept the award on Randy's behalf. I certainly hope so. Rikishi will be inducted, most likely inducted by his sons Jimmy and Jay, former two-time WWE Tag Team Champions, and still trying to figure out what they're doing for WrestleMania. It looks like they may be leading up to a tag team turmoil or tag team tornado match or something with 4 or 6 teams in there, which will probably end up on the pre-show. But as of no word, nothing on that. In the celebrity wing again, which, I have no problem with this inductee. I just have a problem with the celebrity wing that has Drew Carey as a Hall of Famer in it and Arnold Schwarzenegger going into the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. And I'm hoping that, maybe this Warrior Award will start phasing out the celebrity and the fluff because, let's face it, love him or hate him, after listening to Mr. T's speech for 20, 25 minutes rambling on about his mother at the Hall of Fame last year, you have to scratch your head and start wondering, really, why do we have to get celebrities in here? And I think, the Warrior Award would be a very appropriate replacement. Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers, going into the WWE Hall of Fame, and I used to love what Jesse Ventura used to call them, the Marching Morons. I would love, let's get Jesse to induct the Marching Morons one time, please. Can we get Jesse Ventura to the Hall of Fame to induct the Bushwhackers, please? I'm begging you. I will give you, I have my checkbook right here, Vince. I will write half of whatever the appearance fee is for Jesse Ventura just to get him to induct the Bushwhackers, because that would be one hell of a speech. And Alundra Blaze, a.k.a. Medusa, going into the WWE Hall of Fame. the token woman, it would appear, the way that the WWE seems to operate every year. But then again, the pool of qualified, talented women who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame is pretty thin. So who can blame them for only doing one a year? Again, the question that I brought up last week that I really want an answer to, and that is who is going to induct her. Poll question. If you want to jump onto the program, answer this poll question either on the chat room at beyondringside.com or by dialing in 208-643-0102. Who would you rather have induct Alundra Blaze into the WWE Hall of Fame? Would you rather have Paul Heyman or Eric Bischoff? I think either of those would be absolutely incredible. I personally, though, I would love to have Eric Bischoff. I'm all about having the controversy at the Hall of Fame. So let's get Jesse Ventura to induct Luke and Butch, and let's get Eric Bischoff to induct Alundra Blaze, and just let it all hang out. Let the sparks fly. Who cares? It'll be a good time on Saturday night, March the 28th, and the San Jose Arena. And again, I'm going to remind anyone that is going down to the Santa Clara, San Jose area, if you're going to Fan Access, if you're going to the Hall of Fame, any of the myriad of shows, there's a Ring of Honor show that's sold out. Jim Ross is going to be down there doing his one-man show. Mick Foley will be down there doing some comedy shows. I've heard NXT will have their own standalone event during WrestleMania Access weekend. So, there's a lot to do down there. And again, I'm going to warn you, if you're going to any of these events, make sure that you give yourself at least a couple hours lead time to get from point A to point B, because traffic can be especially heinous down in the South Bay, especially anywhere between 2 in the afternoon and who knows how late at night. There's just so many people trying to get from one place to the other, and the infrastructure down there just kind of sucks. That whole 880, 280 area down in the San Jose, Santa Clara area. So be warned. 5 minutes to the top of the hour. We're going to step away, take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to run down the card for WrestleMania 31. Captain Crisis in the chat room says Daniel Bryan is being misused and should be in the main event of WrestleMania 31. I will go ahead and disagree. And we'll talk about that when we come back here on the show. 208-643-0102. This is the show on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and Beyond Ringside app. I am the voice, Ted Guinness. Be back in just a minute.
The To Be Determined show live Wednesday nights, 9 Central Standard Time. Join myself, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, the Grand Design, Clyde Braddock, and the Magic City Monroe, Fast Eddie Lane, as we take you to the edge of uncensored. Yes, we go uncensored, so make sure you have your earmuffs. Ask your parents, for those of you that are a little young, maybe under 18, but make sure if you have any heart conditions or any mental defects, please listen, because they may take effect right here live every Wednesday night, 9 Central Standard Time. Beyond Ringside Radio Network, beyondringside.com.
Howdy, friends. This is the Magic City Motormouth, Fast Eddie Lane, with your invitation to join yours truly, along with Mark Mabo Bowman and the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, every Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, for Beyond Ringside Live. Wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Keep your eyes open on BeyondRingside.com for all of upcoming show information, and of course, catch us on social media as well. Until then, we'll see you this Sunday, 6:30 Eastern, for Beyond Ringside Live on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
Welcome back to the show on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and the Beyond Ringside app. Second verse, same as the first, a little bit louder and hopefully not as worse. 208-643-0102 is the telephone number. If you want to get on the show and talk about all things WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, we are 17 days away from the Showcase of the Immortals, emanating live from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California, Sunday, March 29th, 2015. Special start time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. It is WrestleMania 31. 31 years of WrestleMania. Being headlined as what I mentioned last week as probably one of the most controversial WrestleMania main events in quite a long time. Probably dating all the way back to when Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow headlined WrestleMania. Was that 11 or 12? Someone look that up for me. I can't do three things at once. I can't run this radio station. I can't talk, and I can't do research at the same time. It's either 11 or 12 that Lawrence Taylor, the former linebacker of the New York Giants, faced off against Bam Bam Bigelow. And there was a lot of controversy for that main event because what the hell was Lawrence Taylor doing main eventing WrestleMania in the first place? And I think that whole WrestleMania was the first of three that were just tremendously bad in a row, and then started to turn the corner around WrestleMania 14, and then 15, 16, 17 were the launching pads, not only for bringing WrestleMania back into the large arenas and the large stadiums, but for really stepping up and bringing out a lot of great main events. Edge, Undertaker for the WWE. I think at that point it was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Miz versus John Cena being probably one of the worst main events in quite some time at WrestleMania. And of course, the one year that I actually go to WrestleMania 27, I was excited, was probably one of the worst WrestleMania cards I can remember. The only matches on that card that I actually remember enjoying, Edge and Alberto Del Rio to start the show, which I hated the fact that they let off a WrestleMania with a World Heavyweight Championship match. I hated that. But being there for what ended up being Edge's last match was pretty cool. And then Randy Orton versus CM Punk was great. Triple H and Undertaker, the first time live at the show, seemed to go on forever. I had a lot more expectations for that match than they were able to deliver, and they did a remarkable job the following year at WrestleMania 28 in the steel cage match with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee to really make amends for that. But 27 to me was a very underwhelming WrestleMania. This WrestleMania is shaping up to be tremendous, as I mentioned, being headlined by the match for the World Heavyweight Championship between the challenger, the winner of the 2015 Royal Rumble match, Roman Reigns. He takes on the reigning defending and often absent World Heavyweight Champion Brock Lesnar. And this week, it looks like Roman Reigns, in my opinion, has really stepped up and improved his promo game. I think the promo the promo video they did on Raw that Paul Heyman responded to was spot on. And then tonight's SmackDown, the segment with him and Mark Henry, with Mark running him down and saying, "You can't do it," and Roman trying to be the bigger man and walking away, and when Henry wouldn't let him, he knocked him out with the Superman punch, and then the spear through the railing. If you're on the West Coast listening to that, spoiler alert, too late. That segment just got spoiled for you. but his promos have gotten tremendously better, especially this week. And I think that more of the fan base is finally accepting the fact that Daniel Bryan is not going to be in the main event at WrestleMania 31. And I fully agree with that. I think Daniel Bryan should not be in the main event this year. And it's nothing against Daniel Bryan. I definitely think Bryan's a main event player and should get opportunities to fight for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship again and have a couple more runs with the title before his career is over. But with his injury and the uncertainty of when he was going to come back, the WWE had to have a solid plan in place for WrestleMania 31. And I applaud them for, deciding, let's build Reigns. Let's get behind Reigns and build him. And he caught fire after the Shield split up, and he had his matches with Randy Orton, and he had a match on Raw where he beat Seth Rollins clean. And then he had that emergency hernia surgery and kind of disappeared, and the fans kind of cooled on him. Now, and I don't understand why they cooled on him while he was out of the injury. It may have had something to do with the fact that some of the promo videos that they had him doing when he was rehabbing, they weren't really connecting. And then some of the goofy-ass promos they were having him do after he came back from injury with the suffering succotash and all of that really just turned him into a clown of immense proportions. And it wasn't until, they let him get back to just being the straight ahead, soft spoken, not long drawn out promos, but just quick and to the point badass, that he started to get his momentum going. And I understand a lot of the frustration for the fans that are on the Daniel Bryan camp from the Royal Rumble, and then losing to Reigns at Fastlane. The problem that I have putting Daniel Bryan in the main event at this point is, again, you had to plan for the main event of WrestleMania so far out. You could not depend on when Daniel Bryan was coming back. I think the mistake was made of having Bryan announce that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble. He should not have come back until after the Royal Rumble. And then this whole controversy thing would have been completely avoided anyways, and we would be talking about other things. But the fact of the matter is the WWE needed to make a decision and decided to go and put the belt on Roman Reigns. Or put Roman Reigns in this position. I don't know if he's going to get the belt or not. But they laid out a plan. They stuck to it. They made a mistake by having Bryan come back before the Rumble instead of after. But now it seems like, to me, a lot of the damage has been replaced. The crowd I expect at Mania for this match, I'm expecting it to be 50-50. There are going to be a huge segment of the fan base. I would say a lot of the Northeast fans that live in bizarro wrestling world up there in New York, Philadelphia, Toronto, New Jersey, Boston. And a lot of the smarter foreign fans from the UK, Europe, down Australia, all the people from other countries coming in to watch WrestleMania. Those tend to be the ones that are the ones that tend to choose who they want to root for and what WWE wants them to do. Be damned. They're also the ones that tend to hijack the crowd for Raw after WrestleMania, which I think the show before WrestleMania in 2 weeks, I'm going to start working on some prop bets for the Raw after WrestleMania to see who gets chanted for, how many times the crowd hijacks. We'll have some fun with some of the after WrestleMania Raw crowd chant prop bets a couple weeks coming up here on the program. Also appearing at WrestleMania 31, Triple H and Sting. We talked about that at length last week. I haven't heard anyone come back and say that bringing back WCW if Sting were to beat Triple H and putting Sting as a figurehead and using the network as a vehicle and a platform to drive intellectual property that's been sitting on the shelf collecting dust when you can be monetizing it now, especially when you have your own network. I haven't heard anybody tell me why that's such a bad idea or that it is a bad idea. So, hey, I'm still interested to see what the result of that match is and what the ramifications are, whether Sting falls back in the ether and disappears like nothing happens, or if they actually do something with it. And again, monetarily wise, business wise, it makes sense. You have all the pieces in place. All you need to do is roll the dice, take a shot. If it doesn't work, you don't lose that much money because you're not building a whole new product. You're just tweaking what you already have underneath your umbrella. This one here, okay. Last week on the debut episode of the show, at this point, it had been unconfirmed, but teased that John Cena and Rusev would be battling for the United States Championship at WrestleMania. I made a prediction last week on this program as to how I thought that this match would finally be granted and confirmed for WrestleMania. This is what I said last week. Yeah, they're probably going to figure out something where Cena snaps, because they're starting to tear him down. Cena's going to snap. He's going to do something like Seth Rollins did to Edge to get the authority back, and that's going to, hey, there's your match. So that's easily written off and explained. That's almost confirmed. It probably will be made either this Monday, and of course, that's exactly what happened as Rusev was putting the accolade on Curtis Axel and shutting down Axelmania again this week. John Cena came down, put Rusev in the STFU, made him pass out, dumped water on him, woke him up, and put him back in the hold again until Lana got on the mic, begged for leniency, said, okay, you can have your match at WrestleMania. Okay, you can have your match for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. And the match is confirmed. Exactly what I said last week. What does that do for the John Cena character? It's interesting. Last year, Bray Wyatt had been building up to his match with Cena, talking about wanting to release the monster within him. And you saw shades of the monster within Cena coming out in the match at WrestleMania 30. I think we're seeing a little bit more of that again coming out of him toward this WrestleMania season. And I'm curious, this is the most interested that I've been in a John Cena angle in quite a while, with the Authority starting to tear him down, and it looks like they're pulling him out of the main title picture for the long run so he doesn't get one more shot to surpass Ric Flair for the most World Heavyweight Championship runs in a career. And it's starting to push him out of the top spotlight position and bringing him back into the mid-card where he can really elevate some talent. I hope Cena does not win this title at WrestleMania. I hope Rusev wins this match because we all know what happens to talent when John Cena beats you at WrestleMania. You're pushed back at the bottom of the creative barrel for about a year, and it takes you that long just to get the momentum back. Bray Wyatt is the perfect example. It took Bray almost a year to get back to where he was in what could be considered a main event or prominent position. And, all credit where credit's due. They broke up the Wyatt family. Bray had the feud with Dean Ambrose after being off TV for a while. And actually, you could say he won that feud, and that didn't really hurt Ambrose. Surprisingly, that feud didn't hurt Ambrose. Ambrose has just kind of been in limbo until he decided he wanted to start something with the Intercontinental Championship. But, it took Bray so long just to get back to reinvent himself and get back into possibly the main event picture and the main event spotlight, and this match with The Undertaker again. I'm still all things to me with the props are pointing to this being a casket match, so that there doesn't have to be a lot of physicality. There can be a lot of delays in timing or trying to put the other opponent in the casket, and it doesn't have to be high flying and as high physical as the match with Lesnar last year that Taker suffered the concussion and passed out backstage afterwards. I still expect it to be a casket match. I still don't expect to see The Undertaker until WrestleMania. But if you watch the promo on Raw this week, I mean, it seemed to go a little long, as sometimes, and I think that's the one knock that I have on Bray Wyatt's promos, is they tend to go just a little bit too long. But the opening of the urn and the look on his face as he's looking in there and then breaking into that sick demonic laugh that he has, the lights going out, the gong being heard throughout the arena 3 times, the chair, the Sister Abigail chair, that's eerily similar to the one that Dean Ambrose destroyed during that feud, and then the lightning coming down and setting it on fire. And did you see the looks? I mean, it wasn't just a look, but the looks on Bray Wyatt's face, ranging the emotion from fear to glee to terror to shock to confusion to just, it was like someone was backstage pressing buttons to change the way Bray's facial appearance and facial expressions and the emotion that he was expressing was coming across, because he was going through emotional states with his facial impressions so quickly, and it told so much of a great story to see him in a darkened arena with the camera focused on him in the corner with the chair burning in front of him. And for those people that say, oh, I hate wrestling because wrestling's fake and everything, you're welcome to your opinion, and, congratulations to it and everything. But, these guys that do these characters could win Academy Awards with some of these performances. And these are one takes, folks. These aren't, okay, we need to cut and we need to do it again and 14 or 15 takes. And, then you get pissed off because craft services didn't give you the bowl of green M&Ms. They only have the brown M&Ms at the table, and you go sit in your trailer and pout about it for 4 hours. No, these are guys that go out one take in front of a live audience. And, if I was a Hollywood producer and I saw that segment, there's your audition tape, folks, for Bray Wyatt if he ever wants to start doing horror movies. And you have to believe that the WWE movie division might have something brewing for him, because, I mean, right there, that is a frickin' audition tape, and possibly something that you could see in an off-Broadway monologue. Let's face it, that is something that you could see in an off-Broadway play. A young talent doing a monologue with the visual of the chair being on fire. Come on, that's high drama, and that turned a match that I really wasn't that anxious to see, because the Undertaker being around the 50-year-old mark and not being able to perform the way that he used to be able to. I was not that enthusiastic about watching this match. I just wasn't, and I think that promo on Monday really solidified that I want to see this match because I want to see what Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker can do. So, tremendous build for a match that I didn't have a lot of interest in, and all of a sudden now you got my attention. So I'm definitely interested in seeing that. Also, it looks like we have confirmed the participants for the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, featuring Bad News Barrett defending his Intercontinental Championship against the lunatic fringe Dean Ambrose, who started this whole thing by stealing the Intercontinental title in the first place. Very similar to what Six and the NWO did with the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. And then, of course, now you have Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, Luke Harper, and Stardust to round out the 7 men in the Intercontinental Championship ladder match. And Stardust being in this is a little bit of a surprise, because a lot of the things that I had heard was that they wanted to build toward Goldust versus Stardust as Goldust's final match before he retires from in-ring competition and moves to a position backstage. It appears that they're moving away from that, and it's also possible that Goldust's victory over his brother Cody Rhodes, aka Stardust, in WWE Fastlane may have been Goldust's final appearance donning the gold and black face paint in WWE. And if that's the case, then congratulations on Dustin Reynolds for having a tremendous in-ring career and being one of the more memorable personalities in the WWE locker room. Everything that he did with, the horrible O.J. Simpson car chase with Roddy Piper back at a WrestleMania, to his teaming up with Booker T and the amazing stuff they did. The anti-Goldust character back in the Attitude Era when he was being paired up with Luna Vachon and being the artist formerly known as Goldust. Making his surprise returns to Royal Rumbles 2 or 3 times. And then, of course, his last run when being brought back to face Triple H. Was it against Triple H? I want to say it was against Triple H to get Cody's job back on Raw, and he had that tremendous match. No, it was against Randy Orton. That's what it was. It was Goldust versus Randy Orton, and had that great match with Randy that set up the tag team match with the Shield that got the Rhodes Boys their jobs back, which set up not 1 but 2 WWE World Tag Team title runs. Great career. He battled through his personal demons and always persevered. And this last run that Goldust has had has been absolutely tremendous. So a little bit disappointing for me. I would have loved to have seen Goldust get one more Mania appearance against his brother before moving backstage. But with Stardust being included in the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, it looks like that plan has been eliminated. We may see him, though, make one more appearance in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. The field is pretty much set for that one. And probably the most intriguing storyline coming out of that one, I think, is Mizdow and The Miz. They've been teasing it for so long. They've done a tremendous job with the build. They've done a tremendous job with the build to get Miz and Mizdow. I'm sorry, I was having a little technical difficulty with Miz and Mizdow getting ready to split, and they've been teasing it for so long, and it looks like finally at Mania it may happen. Pick a winner. It's not going to be Kane. It's not going to be the Big Show. I don't think it's going to be Mizdow. I'm just going to go on the record right now and say that. But, you have Ryback, you have Curtis Axel, Kane, Big Show, Mizdow, and a number of other talents. Zack Ryder, I believe, is going to make his token appearance at WrestleMania in the Battle Royal. And I think that's going to be a prop bet, too. How long before Zack Ryder gets thrown out of the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? We'll check with Vegas, but I think the odds are coming in right now at the over-under at 40 seconds. And then another match confirmed on Monday Night Raw. AJ Lee and Paige will take on the Bellas, and I don't know if any of you watched Total Divas or not, but the season finale pretty much revolved around whether Brie and Nicole would re-sign 3-year deals with WWE. And just for what was presented on the season finale, it looks like Brie and Nikki are going to be on their way out the door, and the Bellas are going to be gone soon as their existing contract is up, and they're going to be going on to other things. So this very well be Nikki and Brie's last WrestleMania match. And once Nikki loses the Divas title, that's pretty much going to be their path out the door. And then, of course, as we talked about, still on track but not yet confirmed, Randy Orton taking on Seth Rollins. That one yet to be confirmed. And it looks like they're trying to build something up for the tag team division, possibly for the pre-show. We'll have more information on that as the weeks evolve. 28 past the top of the hour. We're going to take our third break of the evening. When we come back, a little bit of the NXT happenings. If you watched this past week, tremendous match. Welcome back, Alexa Bliss, or Alexis Bliss, A Bliss, I don't know. And Alex Riley returning to action against CJ Parker. NXT going to be at WWE Fan Access. More information on that as it's announced. But for now, it's the show, 208-643-0102. I am the voice, Ted Guinness. This is the show on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Smart Rage from Wrestle Rage Radio, coming to you from the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Join myself and my co-host, Super Stan Grubb, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern as we present Wrestle Rage Radio, where we rant and rave on everything in the world of pro wrestling. Sometimes we'll have a guest. Sometimes it'll be just me and Stan BSing about the sport that we love, pro wrestling. Check us out. Tune in Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, only on the Beyond Ringside Network.
Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us for the Midnight Black Mass. Myself, the Reverend Dan Wilson, brings you the dark gospel of professional wrestling, uncensored, unedited, uncut, and not for the faint of heart. You can find out more about us at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe at Potty Humor on iTunes and Stitcher today.
Welcome back to the show here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. I am the voice, Ted Guinness. Having a good time here on the second episode of the internet sensation sweeping the Beyond Ringside Radio airwaves, that is the show. If you want to be a part of the program, still some time to jump on 208-643-0102. Also want to go ahead and let everybody know that you can download some of the back episodes of the show on the Podomatic site. The site address is greatamericanmedia.podomatic.com. There you will find the show with Ted Guinness. Also, on the greatamericanmedia.podomatic.com site, there will be other podcasts underneath my Great American Media Entertainment umbrella. So those will be posted there as well until I can get my own website set up and do the podcast stuff directly from my own website. So that's something that I am working on. If you want to get in touch with the show on social media, at Ted Guinness on Twitter, you can also go on Facebook and search for Great American Media Entertainment and like the fan page. That is where all things emanating out of this section of Thursday nights on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network are taking place. Of course, this is all coming from the Great American Media Entertainment Studios in Boise, Idaho, the Treasure Valley. Yep, that's where the 208 part comes from in the phone number. So in case you wondered why I have a different number than the rest of Beyond Ringside, that's why. Because I'm going right now everything through my Great American Media Entertainment portal. We've talked about quite a few things here tonight. We talked about the Bill DeMott situation down in NXT. We ran down the card for WrestleMania. We talked about the Warrior Award being presented for the first time at the Hall of Fame ceremony, with the late Connor McCulloch being the first recipient of that award, and his father Steve will be accepting it. and that being presented by the widow of the Ultimate Warrior, Dana Warrior. So again, I can't touch enough on how awesome that is that they're doing that. I don't know if anybody watched NXT this week, and again, I talked about my feelings on NXT, and that it does have a special place in my heart, considering it was pretty much what we did down at Deep South, amplified up to 11, and this last week, some of the action, some of the talent that they have down there. And that's why it is a developmental territory, is that they're still trying to find their way to being marketable up on the main roster. And I think there's a lot of there's a lot of talent down there that is sorely lacking. Some of the talent, though, that are on their way up and have garnered some of my attention outside the Sami Zayns and the Adrian Neville, the Finn Balor, those types. The opening tag team match last night with Sin Cara and Kalisto as the Lucha Dragons taking on Enzo Amore and Big Cass, Colin Cassidy. I've got to say, that was a fun tag team match, and Enzo and Big Cass, Colin Cassidy, really have my attention, and I think they've got something as far as the charisma and in-ring style. Do they need some more seasoning? Yeah, obviously, they're still learning the WWE style. I think they have tremendous potential in the ring, and they make a great tag team. And the NXT fan base, they know their script. So when Enzo's cutting his promo as they're coming to the ring, they're chanting right along, and that's the sign that you got it. When you can get the hardcore NXT fans to pretty much recite with you your gimmick word for word as you're coming to the ring, you got something there. So there are definitely talents that I'm interested in watching. Probably the biggest story that came out of NXT last night, though, was the return of Alex Riley to the ring after being an announcer for WWE for the past couple of years, which he did. Let's just put it all out there right now. He did a tremendous job as an announcer for NXT, and when he was doing things on the WWE pre-show panels on the pay-per-view, he was the anchor of that, and it's going to be hard to fill his shoes. I think what makes the transition easier, though, is Corey Graves has done a tremendous job in sliding into that role on the pay-per-view pre-shows and what he's done down in NXT. And he was definitely the one piece that was needed to allow Alex Riley to get back in the ring, step away from the announce booth where WWE really needed him, and allow him to get back in the ring. And it didn't look like he had a lot of ring rust on him last night, working CJ Parker, who I'm not a fan of. I don't like his work. I don't like his gimmick. There's just nothing about CJ Parker that excites me and makes me want to watch him on my TV, except maybe just get his ass kicked. And I think that may be the point with his gimmick and the way that he's presented. But he's the one person that, when I'm watching NXT, and I never watch it live, I always watch it on the replay. So if I don't want to watch something, I can always skip ahead. He's always one of the guys that I just want to skip ahead onto the replay feed and just, get him off my screen as quickly as possible. But the match that he had last night with Alex Riley, I thought did exactly what it needed to do. It gave Alex the win. He looked great. He looked like he hasn't lost a step, and it obviously goes to show that he's been in the ring and training and, keeping in shape and keeping his game up on top. Where he goes from here, that's the question. He has to face Kevin Owens now. That was the catalyst for getting him outside of the broadcast desk and back inside the ring. And he will be facing Kevin Owens on next week's NXT, which was taped a couple weeks ago when they went to the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm actually really excited to see how that presentation comes across, because we've seen NXT at the Full Sail University and how they have their setup, which looks tremendous, by the way. How is NXT going to look as a road show? And If the logistics pan out, I know that they are starting to be more of a touring brand. If the logistics pan out, are the TV shows going to start emanating from other locations and kind of break away from the static home of NXT, which is Full Sail? So, NXT strikes me very similar as to the deal that TNA had with Universal Studios for the Impact Zone. It's almost essentially the same thing. And when TNA went on the road, you could definitely tell that they were a little bit lost being away from their home base. And I'm curious to see how that production and that presentation comes over, which we will find out next week on NXT, which is next Wednesday on the WWE Network. Speaking of the WWE Network, they've produced 2 pieces in their WWE 24 series. The first one was the build-up, lead-up, and backstage interactions of what went on leading up and during WrestleMania 30. The other was a tremendous piece on Booker T, which was sentenced to greatness, and it touched upon his childhood and what led him to going to prison, what led him to get into the ring with his brother Stevie Ray, the estrangement between the two, and the eventual reunion between Booker T and Stevie Ray at the WWE Hall of Fame when Booker was inducted. It was these types of pieces is what makes to me the WWE Network worth the $10 a month outside of the pay-per-views, because pay-per-views are hit and miss with the exception of the Big Four, which is Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Royal Rumble. Occasionally you get a diamond in the rough pay-per-view or an angle that's super hot leading into one of the non-Big Fours. And, so the pay-per-view value, depending on the quality of the pay-per-view, is hit and miss. But it's these behind-the-scenes specials, which the production team that they've hired that do all these vignettes and all these pre-recorded interviews and pre-tapes, and then they go back and they use all of these the production facilities to put on these specials. Everything about it was very beautifully done, very, very well presented, and I couldn't be happier. I thought, right there, take my $10. That was absolutely worth it. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it is the WWE 24 series on the WWE Network. Definitely worth the look, and if definitely worth the hour that it's going to take to get through it. But hey, if you're gonna get the network, explore it a little bit. Don't just watch the pay-per-views. Just don't watch the old pay-per-views. Explore some of the shows, explore some of the special features. They had a great feature with Jimmy and Jey Uso talking about them getting into the business a while back. I think that was 10 Hours to Houston was the name of that special. So, don't be afraid to check it out. We're going to step away, take our last break of the evening. When we come back, we're going to wrap it up here on the show on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and the Beyond Ringside app. I am the voice, Ted Guinness. This is the show right here on Beyond Ringside.
Hey everyone, this is the Cause, Robert Cosper, host of Cause and Effects Thursday Night Radio Throwdown. This is your invitation to join me, along with the Effects Stuart Couch, Mad Dog Dan Sawyer, and all of the craziness that is C&E, right here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. It's wrestling radio with a twist, and some might just say with a twist of lime when the bar is open. Cause and Effect, right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
Hey, this is Stan Grubb for Wrestle Rage Radio right here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for myself and Smart Rage as we discuss the professional wrestling business from WWE, TNA, and all things in between. We'll have an interview here or there. We'll see what we can do to just keep you entertained. And along the way, we're going to have to bring up some emotion and make you think. That's what we like to do. So join us here on Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you at Wrestle Rage.
Welcome back to the show here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. I am the voice, Ted Guinness, getting ready to wrap up things here and call it a night here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Just a reminder, you can catch the replay of this and all the original content on Beyond Ringside, replayed live throughout the week on BeyondRingside.com and the Beyond Ringside apps, as well as the TuneIn application for Apple. Like I said, if you have an Apple device, do the world a favor, get an Android. Life will be so much easier. I want to thank everybody that tuned in to listen tonight. Captain Crisis in the chat room with some questions earlier on. Coming up on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network, Saturday morning, the Saturday morning showcase returns. Fast Eddie Lane and Friends at 11 a.m. Eastern. Then Sunday, the flagship program, Beyond Ringside returns 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Then Wrestle Rage Radio at 9, followed by the Midnight Black Mass at 11 p.m., which, if it's the Midnight Black Mass, why doesn't it go on at midnight? I don't know, but, that's not for me to decide. Next week, Back to Basics returns to Beyond Ringside Radio Network Tuesday night at 9 p.m. The To Be Determined show next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Join the Wicked Nemesis, Fast Eddie Lane, the Grand Design Clyde Braddock, Angie Nemesis, and Wick, don't hurt me because I can't remember Angie's real last name, so I'll just call her Angie Nemesis. All that shenanigans happens on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on Beyond Ringside. 10 p.m. Eastern on Beyond Ringside Wednesday night. And then, of course, next week, the return of the Thursday night double play, Cause and Effect at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by the next installment of the show with the voice, Ted Guinness. Just a quick update. I had made mention that NXT was planning on running a live events independently of Fan Access. I just got the confirmation that WWE NXT Live will take place Friday night, March 27th at 10 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. local time for bell time at the San Jose University Event Center. So tickets for that event, I'm sure, are going to be available at Ticketmaster and on WWE.com. That's going to do it for me here tonight. A reminder, you can also catch the replays, download back episodes of the show by going to Great American Media at Podomatic.com. That's Great American Media at Podomatic.com. You can also find out what's going on with the Great American Media Entertainment Studios. Go to Facebook and search for and find Great American Media Entertainment, as well as the replays right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Once again, I am the voice, Ted Guinness, thanking everybody for tuning in tonight. We'll see you again next week right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and Beyond Ringside app. Have a good night.